I want to switch to laptop. Is that correct?
If you what?
Want to switch to the laptop?
I think you want to connect, you don't want to take over.
We did that, and then when you did that,
Because if you switch it, it takes over you. So I think you have to log in independently.
Okay. So
And then I can give you control.
Recording in progress.
Did you hit?
What?
Did you hit switch? Because you've taken over, I think. Maybe we should have tested this first. Wait, it's recording right now. What?
Screen.
Okay. I don't know why this screen's not filling in.
I'm not in the queue, but it says the
There we go.
host join. We've let them know you're here, but I have to be let in.
Oh.
I can be moving.
Wait, so you logged in as you and logged in as you over here. Didn't know you could do that. Okay.
Oh, I can see just this. Yeah.
All right, participants 3. So you're in now?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have a playback monitor.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, check that one time. Better. Okay, we're good. That's working. One second here.
It'll alert you if someone tries to join. If this is let in, or
Yeah, I have the participants screen open so that they can see.
So you can control that people then as they, that's okay, perfect.
we're living in the future.
Okay. It is 6:34 p.m. I will call the meeting to order. We have all received the June 6th, 2025 Benton Township minutes. So do I have a motion to approve those?
I motion approves the June
Second.
2025 minutes.
Second.
Okay, and then I'll need a roll call. So Dodds,
Yes.
McNerney,
Here,
say yes.
yes,
Aye. All right, the minutes are approved. Next up, our reports, starting with the financial report.
All right, in June 2025, for our rainy day fund, we had 0 expenses, leaving 0 year-to-date expenses, a remaining approved budget of 0, and a cash balance of $88,316.65. In our township fund, we had monthly expenses of $4,392.78, leaving our year-to-date expenses of $29,406.14. and a remaining approved budget of $25,593.86, and a cash balance of $303,048.69. In our township assistance fund, we spent $1,630.63 in June, leaving a year-to-date expense of $7,879.26.
You're fine like that.
We did.
Something's picking up.
I know. And a remaining approved budget of $17,120.74, a cash balance of $112,001.92. In our recreation fund, in June, we spent $560.10, leaving year-to-date expenses of $2,779.53. And a remaining approved budget of $2,220.47. And a cash balance of $12,479.05. Our COVID donation fund is holding at $450.22. Our township donation fund is at $114.84. Our volunteer fire department donation fund is at $3,378.70. We had a deposit of, that 1706 is an error. The local income tax is also incorrect. I apologize. We should have gotten our usual amount. If you look in the detailed transactions in your monthly report. So that receipts are not listed in your monthly report, so I will get those corrected and sent to you. Our Trust Indiana account earned $1,593.38. We received $21,980.02 in property tax, $823.43 in license excise tax, and $1,034 in commercial vehicle excise tax. Anyone have any questions for me?
Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the financial report?
A motion to approve the financial report.
Second?
Okay, I need a roll call. Dodds,
Yes.
McInerney,
Here, yes.
Husk. Aye. Alright, next up, have the trustees report. I think if you hit the bottom line, this is still.
Try that.
There we go.
It keeps bumping back up. I know, I have a new phone, sorry. Practice it every week. We've received a preliminary report from Coonrad and Company CPA regarding the impact that Senate Bill 1 and House Bill 1461 will potentially have on our income and expenses. While I'm still reviewing the document along with asking some questions, it appears based on their projections that our property tax revenue will drop dramatically for 2026 and 2027, with no property taxes to be collected starting in 2028. However, our local income tax revenue will dip in 2026 and slightly raise from that in 2027. And then we'll double that amount starting in 2028 and increase again in 2029. A few big changes that happened with Senate Bill 1 is that the control of lit rates is in the control of the Monroe County Council rather than a local income tax committee. Secondly, tax revenue will be distributed to units on a per capita basis or by population rather than assessed valuation or budget numbers. That being said, a few disclaimers. Number one, this funding is based on the maximum amount of lit that the council can set. Number two, with the impact of this bill on schools and libraries, this funding calculation may be revisited next year and these figures may change. So perhaps with the financial impact of these bills in the future of township government may not be as dire as what I was fearing a few months ago. I still feel like there is an ongoing concern with the state legislators wanting to consolidate local government and force us to merge. With that in mind, we have a few tasks that we need to accomplish within the next month or two. We need to get our 2026 budget figures together, as well as our capital improvement plan that's due on September 30th. On July 1st, the state announced that the growth quotient for next year is 4%. So that's what it was about that. So we have the ability to increase our property taxes by 4%, but again, I'm not sure what good that's going to do. My budget workshop is coming up. It is August 22nd. At that point, I'll need some kind of solid direction from the board as far as what they are thinking about a capital improvement plan. In addition, back in January, long before any of this talk of Senate Bill 1 or House Bill 1461, I had done a salary comparison over a period of time over townships in Monroe County. And so I'm presenting this to the board this evening for consideration. Our salaries have been relatively stagnant. I believe I'm making the same amount that what I was 13 years ago, whereas other townships continue to see a year after year increase. So of course, this is up to the board to decide, but I thought it was fair to put these figures together. And again, I did this back in January, long before any of this other such came out. One other thing that's on the radar is in April 2024, the Department of Justice issued a rule adopting new technical standards for government websites and mobile applications under the Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act. As government services increasingly move online, this rule provides uniform web standards to increase accessibility to online government services for all. This rule requires state and local government websites and mobile applications to comply with the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.1 AA standards. Public entities with a population of 50,000 or more must ensure their websites and application content meets these standards by April 26th, 2026. That sounds like a far away time, but it's less than a year away. Public entities with populations under 50,000, which Benton Township is, and special purpose districts must comply by April 26, 2027. Public entities that contract with third parties to provide public services must ensure their contractors also meet WCAG's 2.1 AA standards by these dates. So this final rule marks the Justice Department's latest effort to ensure that no person is denied access to government services, programs, or activities because of disability. Says U.S. Attorney General Merrick. So I'll be looking at some potential vendors in which can meet these accessibility guidelines. That is kind of outside of my scope that I'm comfortable with. But I'm just letting you know that that is on the radar. And I have no other updates as it relates to the senior center or the fire department or our cemeteries.
Does the board have any questions?
No.
Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the trustees report?
I motion to approve the trustees report.
Second.
Okay, I'll call for a roll call. Dodds,
Aye.
McNerney,
Aye.
Husk, aye. Passes, roll call passes. Next up, we have the township assistance report.
Okay. We had quite a bit of business this past month. So first off, we had a call from a Benton Township resident needing their furnace installed in their home. A prior company did part of the work but did not finish it. I informed the resident that township assistance is usually for things like paying an electric bill or for rent, but informed him of the rural repair housing program that is now administered by the Monroe County Community Foundation. So about a month after I received his call, I followed up with him since I had not heard from him, and he is in the process of getting a second quote. I also received a referral from findhelp.com for assistance. I followed up with both emails and left a message on the phone and have gotten no further response. A previous applicant wanted to apply for rent assistance, and Deputy Trustee Husk met with this applicant while I was away, and this request was approved. A previous applicant asked if he could attend telehealth appointments at the Township Trustee's office. We declined this request as we do not have the staff capacity or felt equipped in order to address concerns such as HIPAA. A previous requester contacted us again after their attempts to contact the Bloomington Township Trustee were unsuccessful. Deputy Trustee and Chair Husk assisted this person in finding updated contact information. A new request was made via Find Help. An email about our programs was sent. I also received a call from the Jackson Township Trustee from Brown County regarding advice on if Township Trustees can assist with property damage after storms. A new requester called asking for assistance and was referred to Bloomington Township. A previous applicant called asking for legal help resources relating to preventing an eviction. Various legal resources were provided via email as we discussed on the phone. A continuing application for someone on medical disability was received. We met July 1st for the interview and that person was approved. We also received a phone call from a previous applicant and I returned the call at least 5 times at separate times and throughout the day. I was able to leave a message each time, but so far no one has returned my call.
Do I have a motion to approve the township assistance report?
A motion to approve the township assistance report.
Second,
All right, I'll call for a roll call. Dodds,
aye.
McNerney,
Aye.
Husk, aye. Motion passes. All right, old board business, we seem to have a few items on the list here, starting with the community grant for Danny Smith Park.
And so I reached out to Mr. Killian twice after the meeting and then when I got back and then as well as recently, so a total of 4 times at this point. In addition, I forwarded the information to Ashley Kerberg, who was here while Mr. Killian made his presentation, and so far I have not received any response to the request to provide a copy of the presentation or if the improvements would further open the park throughout the year. And if they had gotten any kind of quotes for invoices for the work to be performed. So since we did talk about this the last meeting, I didn't know about the 2025 request, kind of what the status was for that. Or I believe he asked for the security cameras.
That's something else I mentioned.
I believe Mr. Dodds has a copy of that presentation.
I do. That's the lights in the ring.
Yeah, I think it was for the lights that we were talking about.
Yeah, the lights and the internet and the ring security cameras, what's written right there. The last time I was up there, they have installed LED lights on field 1 now. So I don't know if they got a grant or if they had more money. I feel like he mentioned in his presentation that they had part of the money, so maybe they didn't have to do one of the fields.
Right, because we were talking about fields, what?
1 and 3.
3.
Yeah, but I think field 3 is still the old bulbs, but the field 1 is now.
So a local electric contractor, Cassidy Electric, has pledged $5,000 towards this project. Total cost of the project is $12,000, so they probably had enough money to do that one, and then, you know, the other is $7,000 for that. So yeah, that makes sense. So those are already in the new LEDs for the.
Yeah, they had put them up right around the ice cream central.
Okay.
Shortly after. Hopefully.
Do we know if the board itself has a email address that we can send to?
That is the Danny Smith Park is the official email address that I've been using. That's the one that we often get emails from. And in addition, when I didn't hear back from him, I did follow up with his business email as well and still have not heard back from him.
He's okay. So do we want to, I mean, when does our decision has to be made by the end of this year, right? At least it is.
It can be made at any time. This would result if we paid for it out of the recreation fund or the rainy day fund. Those funds would need to have an additional appropriation, so we would have a timeline that needs to be filed by the end of November.
Okay. Well, I think that we should have I don't want to wait till the last minute on that. So I guess we should, unless the board has anything further on it, I guess we table it until the next meeting to see if we hear back.
Would you like me to follow up to see how much of that project has been accomplished and maybe what their current need is?
If anything has changed since that point in time, since Don's to say that they've installed some lights.
Yeah.
Okay. Refresh my memory if you would. Which is the biggest field? Is that field 3?
Field 3 is the largest, and then field 2, and then field 1.
Okay, so field 1 would be the smallest.
Yes.
Okay, So that does kind of make some sense if you look at it monetarily, 5,000, potentially for the smallest, 7,000 for the largest, or for the middle one.
Yeah, I suppose I've not paid a ton of attention to how many light poles there are on each of them, but those are the ones where they do the little kid games, so maybe they felt that was more important to get those lights up first.
Well, the unfortunate thing here, I think, is that, you know, I mean, it could have been cheaper if they had done them all together potentially. And back with this, I'm getting a little concerned.
Yep.
Yeah, well, let's do our best to try to reach out to them again and see what's happening. All right, does anybody have any further discussion? Hearing none, we have a full of policies, I think, to approve tonight. Starting with the 2025 travel policy.
So I started off with our document with markups, and then that kind of got to a point in which there were more markups than there was content. So I kind of started from scratch, in particular with the lodging paragraph that we discussed quite a bit at our last meeting. And then as well as the last paragraph in regards to meals. So,
You have my email on that?
yep, this is what we, has all the feedback.
Okay. All right. Does the board want to go over it at all? I'm sorry you received it. You know that the textual changes there.
I'm fine with everything that's in it.
I think that I reworked the first part of it to be a little bit more comprehensive, I think.
Would you like for me to read the new first paragraph,
That'd be fantastic.
since this is probably about the third meeting we've had on this?
Yes, please.
Payment or reimbursement for lodging related to professional development is limited to the lowest available standard room rate. Eligible nights, including those, the preceding day. No, that's right. Eligible nights, including those preceding each day of the conference attendance, and when justified by the conference in time, the night following the final day. Preference will be given to accommodations at the official conference hotel, or if unavailable, the nearest comparable property. And then as far as the sentence regarding meals, employees are encouraged to take advantage of meals included in registration fees, hotel accommodations, or those provided by vendors. If an employee forgoes a provided meal, they may be reimbursed for the actual cost of a replacement meal with a valid receipt, or receive reimbursement at the applicable per diem rate.
So I had some changes on. No, never mind. Let's see. Oh, hey.
Other update from the last month is we had talked about attending approved meetings, seminars, and conferences, or other travel for township business. That was added. We substituted actual for original receipts, and then total cost instead of actual cost.
So I sent you two completely different, I sent you a different document. Impressive.
Okay. And you, okay. So. Yeah, I have the
That's
fifth
it.
version here.
That's the old one.
You have the fourth version there.
Yeah.
So. We can table this again.
Yeah, let's table it one more time. Yeah, because I had another comment, I think, in the last part of it too, so. We can discuss that offline as well.
It is a lot clearer though, I will say that though.
Well, it's good, it's even
much clearer that.
It's even more clear in the requested changes that I feel out here, so we'll go over that again, and then get out a new copy to everybody and for your review. All right, so we'll table, do I have a motion to table the travel policy till the next meeting?
A motion to table the travel policy to the next meeting.
Second.
All right, I'll call for a roll call. Dodds,
Aye.
McInerney,
Aye.
Husk, aye. Motion approves, we're table it. All right, next up, we have the internal controls policy.
Yeah, so a lot of these pages are just text from the resolution that was proposed by the Indiana Township Association. I did add my name where it says trustee of blank township, and I also entered Benton Township whenever there was a blank township. And so what I wanted to point out, kind of the major thing, was that I now have kind of a workflow document. That I believe the board requested, so this
This
goes
looks great.
through. Different parts of the workflow. I don't know if you want me to try and read this out loud.
I think that we went over it the last meeting with the Excel spreadsheet, so I mean, from what I was, when I was reviewing it, it looked like it covered that, but in a nice graphical way.
Yeah, I think it looks great.
You did print it in color, and it was great in color. All right, I don't have any changes, is the board?
I do not.
I do not.
If you're good with it, then we are. Do I have a motion to approve the 2025 internal controls policy?
A motion to approve the 2025 internal controls policy.
Second.
And I'll call for a roll call. Dodds,
Aye.
McInerney,
Aye.
Husk, aye. Carries. And finally, under old board business, we have the,
Sign.
yes.
So there's parts that the trustee signs, there's parts that the board signs. So the board signs variance thresholds, which basically if there's any variance between our bank statements and our records, then that should throw up a flag. We also have that the board, so Joe Husk, Jake Dodds, Sean McInerney is the oversight committee for financial transactions. Then I have a directive on the control environment and internal control structure of the township. And I also have the policy on materiality and process for reporting material items.
Perfect.
Here are the two board items.
Yeah, that's just what names then.
Regulations reference.
All right, next up, we have the 2025 capital improvement plan.
So this is kind of our ongoing conversation as far as what capital projects that we are interested in investing in. If we, with our surplus funds, according to House Bill 1461, and I don't know what the House Enrolled Act number is. But, so as a summary, that bill requires that 30% of our cash surplus be directed towards a township, roads fund that we will establish also this year as part of our budget process, and then will be used for the appropriate entities, presumably the county highway department, for projects in our township. So if we do not allocate the surplus, then 30% will be directed towards that. Starting next year and then each year thereafter. So the number that we have right now is also still somewhat fluid, especially the Danny Smith Park. If we do an additional appropriation, that would affect that. In addition, there's a little bit of uncertainty in regards to if the recreation fund is included in this calculation as well. One group says yes, one group says no, but I feel like we can at least prioritize our projects and then kind of finalize things as a little further on down the year when we have a better idea. I know the Department of Local Government Finance is supposed to be issuing the official spreadsheet within the next month or two. And then once they issue that and we plug our numbers in, they'll be able to tell us exactly the number that we're going for.
Do they get to approve that, or do we just give them what we want to do, and then that's what it is, or do they get to say you can't do this, or you can't do that?
When we did this last time, the requirement was that we submit it. I think there are additional requirements this time in which we have to have paperwork to substantiate it. So for example, if we're working with Danny Smith Park and we allocate a certain amount of funding, we need to have some kind of a contract that indicates this to support that.
Who creates the additional fund?
We do.
That have to go through an approval process, or it just gets created?
I believe there is a board resolution, and that again will be provided by the Indiana Township Association, at which point I will probably add Benton Township, and then we will adopt it in conjunction. I believe it's in conjunction with our budget.
It just become like a highway fund or a road fund.
And they will have a certain number that's assigned to it, and
Does that occur?
I would anticipate that that would happen with the budget process.
Any further discussions? Does the board have any?
No, my only thought, I guess, was that since our main focuses are the cemeteries and the senior center, probably as long as those two items go first, and or I guess there isn't an order, but as long as those two get the dedicated funds first, since they are kind of our inside of the mission statement of the township, then I'm certainly more open to other ideas after that. I think why we couldn't get why we don't know if the ambulance would be stationed out here, I think that's probably the best use. Township wide and county wide and all around. While it would be neat to help the ballpark as much as possible, an ambulance is probably a better overall use. That's just my thoughts, but
Yeah.
I was gonna say the other challenge with Danny Smith Park is I'm not sure that they're ready for some of the projects that we're excited about as far as staffing. Of course, I'm happy to ask that again. I ask about an update.
Well, kind of indication, I mean, if that's the sign of things to come, makes it a little bit more concerning, a little more difficult. And I agree, but Don's, a great majority of our call out here, emergency requests are for you take BMS. So, yeah.
Well, one of the nice things about doing the cemeteries and the senior center is that's already something that we have in our budget, so we would just need to plan for those items. In our budget for this year.
Like we doing the lighting.
See, thank you.
These lights are, lights are painful.
Yes. Yeah, I think too that, you know, maybe if it's I don't know if it's, I guess it's not necessarily a one and done allocation, you know, obviously it can be somewhat flexible, but without knowing what the future is, if this is gonna be potentially the only chance that you get to allocate it, it would be best to make sure that what would be the funding source for this building after that, you know, so if there were ever going to be improvements to keep it operating into the future, I guess now would be that time.
Well, and one of the interesting things is with our lit potentially going up and you know, I just kind of had to blink a couple times. You know, they're projecting that our lit could be, so right now it's about 17,000. They're projecting in 2029 that it would be over 100,000.
Oh.
So then we would kind of be,
That's substantial.
yeah, it is. And again, the law may change, these figures are an estimate. But at least right now, and many townships, they did have a countywide breakdown. Many townships are losing money in a significant amount of money, and we're one of the 3 that is better, that could be better than what we were.
And so that happens by 2029. So what were the years that it kept going down, right? For at least for next year, the next 3 years?
So in 2026, they expect a small bump. In 2027, they expect another small bump. And then in 2028, that would be almost tripling that amount.
Wow.
And again, these are projections.
Yeah.
And the things may change between now and then. But my point is that, you know, you were talking about this as the one time to do it. And as long as we either don't merge voluntarily or we're not forced to merge, we could potentially be in a situation in which we have, you know, funding for other projects. So we only have one more meeting until my budget. So, without more updates from Danny Smith, is the board interested in discussing the capital improvement project plan at this time? I had also thought about maybe doing a placeholder for them, like for an amount that we had discussed in the past, but if we just leave that placeholder amount, 30% is gonna get taken away.
Right.
And again, while I'm not saying that roads funding is not important in our township, it's just very, very expensive for the amount of roads that we have.
Yeah, I mean, given our current discussion, I think that we have a general idea of, you know, we spend that surplus funding where we would like it to go. I think we're all in agreement with that. I would like to wait to hear back from Danny Smith Park. Because if we don't hear anything back from them within the next meeting, I would say that we don't earmark anything.
Well, we wouldn't have that documentation to support that earmarking.
Right. Right. Okay. Do we have any further discussion?
So we need like firm plans for the money by next month. It's kind of what you're saying. It's like we need to know that they want an exact amount of money, exactly what for, and they're planning to do it. It can't just be. We hope to do this in the next year. It has to be.
I think it needs to be reasonable confidence that a project will be completed, and I believe the timeline is 3 years.
In 3 years over. I was just thinking that that's a lot of pressure on any organization really to.
Well, I think that what we're talking about right now is really just field lighting for 2.
Oh, yeah,
With additional for anything more expansive, but I mean. I think that even within question right now, the field lighting is in question because. We haven't heard anything back.
yeah, I would certainly be okay with the field lighting, for sure, since that's been an ongoing thing that we.
I think we had some grand ideas of
Yeah.
possible other things, which I think is still somewhat on the table, but it's really starting to slide off. Luckily,
Yeah.
and as you mentioned before, the potential of having an ambulance close out here for our residents would be, a pretty good option.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, I would say that's obviously take some time to think about, just to solidify your thoughts on this, what we really would like to do, or if you have any additional ones between now and our next meeting. But probably come to make I think a final decision at our next meeting, about what our plans are. Does that sound good? All right. Okay, next up we have, and finally, we have new board business, and we have one agenda item, and it's the 2025 budget introduction.
So looking at our June financial report, so June 30th is halfway through the year. So our figures look pretty good. Our township fund budget was 55,000. And we're at 29,406, but that included $10,000 for the Bronx Cemetery restoration. So we are at less than halfway for that. Our township assistance budget was 25,000. I feel like that could go down a little bit, especially now that we don't have that caseworker position. But we're still at less than half for that. And then our recreation fund, it's always kind of I guess it's 5,000, 6,000, some years it's 3,000, but I feel like we're about right on the money for our recreation fund. So I didn't know if the board had any thoughts or ideas about any changes they would like to see in the budget. And then as alluded to earlier, I provided a spreadsheet of all the townships in Monroe County. I have the population of each township, their 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024 total budgets, their total request for assistance for those years, the trustee salary for those years, as well as the individual board salary. The exception to that is Salt Creek, in which that information is not reported in the required areas. So I wasn't able to get that information. So we are definitely kind of in the bottom half as it relates to rural townships. I feel like Clear Creek, Van Buren, Richland, Bloomington, and Perry. That's kind of very definitely busier than I am, and those folks have full-time trustees. And then everyone else, Polk, Salt Creek, Indian Creek, Washington, Bean Blossom, and Benton all have part-time trustees. So I did think it was interesting that the Polk Township trustee, they had 0 requests for assistance, and the trustee salary is $22,000, which is almost $6,000 more, and their board members are paid $2,000 a year, which is almost twice what you guys think. However, Bean Blossom, Indian Creek is also one that is significantly increased, so they only had 4 requests for assistance, we had 59.
Right.
And their trustee made $20,000 last year, and their board salary was $1,500 per person each year. However, Washington and Bee Blossom are about the same as us. Washington is a bit less, so it's hard to say. My only thing with bringing up salary is that it's important to value the person's work, but also make it appealing for people to run for office. It has to be worth their time in order to do so. But
Did you say that the population was on here for each?
yeah, it's all the way up at the top. So it's actually the 2010 population of the township. I could update this with the 2020 census, but I'm not sure it would necessarily change all that much.
I would actually be very interested to see what that difference is, if you just leaving in the 2010 and adding in the 2020. Yeah,
So the trustee with the highest salary looks like to be Bloomington Township. Now they had 1,326 requests for assistance, and their trustee makes $71,258. And their board makes $5,045.52. And their what they do and their process is very similar to what we do in our process. I mean, we go through the same thing: the annual report, the investment report, the budget, the township assistance guidelines. All of these things are universal, or should be universal throughout all the townships in Monroe County. And there's just a big difference.
and Bloomington has a deputy trustee, don't they?
Yeah, I think most of these have it, then official deputy trustees, it's separate.
We don't have salaries for those on here. Those may be an hourly fee, hourly. Or is that a salary position as well?
Just in knowing a few of them, like I think I do, I think it is just someone in their office, and then they're just kind of on call, and then they just get paid extra for the time that they're doing.
Well, okay. Yeah, I think this is something to mull over for the board. The salaries seem to be a bit disparaging. I mean, I think that it's hard to come up with a concrete formula for this, but it's kind of surprising in some ways that there's not a formula, or, you know.
I will say that, we've talked about it, especially when we consolidated, so there is something in state law that an elected official is entitled to none lower than the start of the previous term. So let's say we decide to cut our salaries. We would still be entitled to, our last term was 2018. So January, whatever the salaries were, January 1 of 2018. Yeah, it cannot be lower than that.
Well, and I mean, even during COVID and everything else, we as a board, the board actually at the time then, when I was a member of it, we decided to keep our salaries low and, not increase them. Maybe that was the wrong decision at the time, but it felt good when we did it. But looking at this, it's pretty stark that perhaps other townships didn't follow that. Yeah. All right, I've seen, this is thank you for putting this together. This is actually very informative.
Yeah.
I think that, I think as a board, we should potentially propose some possible changes. Any further discussion?
I had nothing.
Board have anything else with regards to this? Okay, I see we have no public comment today. It is 7:20 PM. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
I'll do a roll call. Dodds,
Aye.
Secretary?
Aye.
Husk? Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned.